So I'm delighted and excited to be joined by Matteo from Calligram, who are on the verge of releasing their new album, Position Momentum, on the 11th of July, which is like 2 weeks away. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time out to sit with me for a while and chat.
Thank you, Joy. Pleasure.
Awesome. I'll just give a quick shout out to Will Collins from Prosthetic, who arranged this. Good friend, Will, and very nice guy. So shout out. I mean, first of all, we're talking about this album, which is coming out soon. The first thing before we get into the music itself is the artwork itself is fairly striking, and I'm not one for art. If someone said, let's go to an art gallery, I would have no interest. But when it's on a metal album and it's like that, it's actually like looking at the Scream, the Scream art.
Yeah,
it has that feel to it. Like, talk to me about it. I mean, like, what is it, the image?
So actually, it's a fun story. When we decided to work with Deborah Sheedy, because we worked with her already on our second EP, Askelis, in 2017, we kind of dig her art. We do what she does. She does all this kind of weird stuff. They can't really know what is it. Like it looks human, but then there's something, creepy, eerie about it. So when we put the album, we just got in touch with her and we said, listen, that's the album we do. This is the concept. Just come up with whatever you feel like would be a good fit for the album. So we didn't give her any instruction. We just said, just do what you want. Just do your thing. After explaining what the album was about, it was about chaos and darkness, and that's what she did. Actually, it took quite a few days, probably not even a week, and then she came up with this amazing album, amazing cover.
And did you give her any music?
Sorry?
Did you give her any of the music?
Yeah, she did, but mainly she looked into the lyrics and the concept. So we didn't really have nothing in mind, to be honest. We only wanted to show chaos and darkness, and sometimes it can be quite cheesy to do something like that because you always end up doing the same subjects. In metal, there's plenty of cheesy, imagery and it can be quite easy to be cheesy in metal. So. And she's not. She does this kind of stuff that's not proper metal. It's just something just weird. So we just gave her a shout that she did this, and we're like, yeah, this is amazing. I don't know what is that. I mean, it looks like a person, but there's something that you don't really get about it. And we thought, yeah, this works. It's perfect.
I think that's sort of what is so striking, because you can't really. It sort of looks like a person with their face being sucked off by it, and you can't really comprehend what's going on, which I think is why it works so well. So, I mean, you obviously gave the brief, the music's dark, and this is what they've come up with, what she's come up with, which is, it's brilliant. The album itself, I mean, I don't know if I sent on Will a copy of my review. I don't know if you've read it. I think the album is brilliant, and I've said,
thanks,
and quote, it'll be the best black metal album coming out of the UK this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, I know there's other like styles in there in the album itself, but for me, like, I'm a huge black metal fan, and the black metal really does shine through immensely, is what I latch onto. Now, compared to the last album, your debut, The Eyes of the First Circle, was there much difference in terms of making this album? I mean, like, was there a different direction you wanted to take? Because for me, your debut is very dense compared to this, which is quite strange to say when you put them together.
Yeah, that's definitely something that changed. There was a switch between last album and this one. With this one, we really wanted to go, let me say, proper black metal, because we have huge black metal influence in what we do. We do lots of blast beats and those kind of dissonant riffs. So we kind of sit in the black metal area. But with this one, we really wanted to explore the black metal spectrum more than what we did before. We wanted to sound more chaotic, more violent, darker. And we started writing the album with that in mind. We really wanted to do a black metal album. And also, for example, DI, people's album, it was black metal in a broad perspective, but I think it has some influences from, you know, the hipster black metal movement, which I love, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hipster fan, and I fucking love the Faven and all the hipster black metal stuff. We wanted to sort of go back to, you know, to the, let me say, the true black metal fire,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever you can call it. So we didn't really want to do a concert either, because concert may sound too, you know, too pretentious. We only go for violence, only go for darkness. So that was what brought us to deliver this album, because we really wanted to explore the black metal in a deeper way than we did before. And yeah, so I'm very happy that you like it. Is being you a black metal fan, because we always had this problem of black metaler not really digging us. I mean, they like us, but there's always something missing, because if you listen to, I don't know, any proper black metal bands and then listen to us, there's something that you don't find in us that you find in a proper black metal band, because we got, I mean, we got D beats and we got other weird stuff that's can be a bit weird for a black metal fans. But that's why I appreciate you being a black metal fan and liking the album, because it's important for us.
I mean, black metal fans can be very particular. Like I'm sure you're aware. Like, unless it's true black metal, spelled
Yeah,
TRVE, you know, the true, you know,
yeah,
they can be very particular. And unless the production is recorded like it's underwater, they have no
yeah.
interest. But what I mean, from the opening of this album, from your opening vocals, it's very obvious that this is going to be a venomous album, and you have the black metal roots in there. And we'll come on to your vocals in a minute, but from when I was listening to it, being a black metal fan and growing up around, you know, listening to the likes of Mayhem, Gorgoroth, Satyricon, all of that, the pace of it and the franticness of the album drew me back to sort of Mayhem's Chimera Order Akeo.
Absolutely, yeah,
Because it's
100%.
that intense. And like your vocal style as well is very unique in terms of and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is you're taking loads of different styles. Like, and the one that stood out for me specifically was Gal from Gorgoroth. Those sort of like higher screeches, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but thank you. I mean, I'm speechless. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't really have like a reference that I follow like strictly. In terms of vocals for this album, I tried to do one thing, which was, you know, when you record the vocals, it's natural to follow the pattern of the music, to follow maybe the drums. So, you know, put the accents on a rhythmical level. So, blah, 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 blah. So I try not to do that. I try to explore a different way of you know, creating a vocal line, almost like it's more flowing, so not following the pattern underneath. So the music goes one way and the vocals go another way, like it's almost out of sync, because that, I think, he adds to the idea of chaos, and he adds to the idea of, you know, darkness and instability they want to communicate. So that in that sense, now thinking about it, maybe because that is what God does, especially with with Girls Weird. So probably, yeah, there's been some unconscious influence
Yeah,
by
yeah.
God. Yeah, but yeah, I really wanted to explore that way of doing music, because otherwise you end up being like a hardcore singer that really follows the groove. It has all the lines has to be very rhythmic and following the drum beats. But in black metal, usually vocals they should be more free to explore, to be, you know, not bound to any pattern, but just more, almost like you're speaking on the top of the music. So yeah, that was
I
an
mean,
experimentation we did.
and that's black metal for me in a nutshell as well, is that black metal for me is never perfect in terms of, you know, when you see it live, the sound isn't always perfect. Like, for example, I saw Mayhem at the weekend in Norway, and compared to record, they sounded dreadful. But that's the beauty of seeing bands like that live.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm with you. To be honest with you, I'm also a black metal fan. I listen to weird black metal, so in which the idea of hating the groovy part is even stronger. For example, I love Passage d'Hiver or Bavet Cocoon, Saxtur. So in which everything is so muddy and you can't understand anything, but you only get that feeling. You don't get, oh, what kind of noise is he playing? What, oh, he's done this and that. No, you don't get any of that, but you get the feeling, the scary feeling, and also melancholic. I mean, you can explore lots of different emotion in black metal, and that's why I like it, and that's why I find groove music always quite boring. So technical death metal or anything that's too groovy, it's too clear, to me it ends up being quite boring, and I get bored of it straight away. And black metal is not like that, and I think black metal bands should avoid the groove as much as they can, because groove is fucking boring from my point of view, at least.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned there, it's a very good point about emotions when you listen to black metal, and it is a very difficult genre to get in. A lot of people dismiss it straight away because mainly because of the production or the vocals. But I mean, I find it like I've been having a Gorgoroth binge the last week, and it just, for people who are into it there is a very, you know, you do get very emotionally attached to it. And I'm just wondering, when you're making this album, for you and the rest of the band, was it an emotional attachment? And because as well, at the same time, it's not 100 miles an hour all the time, this album. Like, if you take the final track, which apologies, I can't pronounce it, Seminario Deci.
Yeah, spot on, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
you're fluent. You're fluent.
Yeah, we could have done this in Italian. But that last track does have a mellow part, which I
Yeah.
like to Shining from Sweden, their Eerie Cold era. So you're bringing all these sort of emotions into this album. Like, for you making the album, how was it?
Well, that's a interesting point actually, because it goes down to uh, how you see music compared to your emotion. I don't really think that music is the mean to express your emotion. It's not a tool that you use to express to let everyone know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon that of course how you feel ends up in the music, because that's part of what you do. So if you're in a certain mood, definitely that mood will end up being in the music, some sorts of details. But in general, I think that I see music and emotion two different things, because, and I said that before, um, people talk about music like a cathartic system that they use to feel better, and there's all the idea of this the artist that is, troubled, and is sexy because he's troubled, and he puts all his sadness into music, and music helps him being feeling better. I think that's bullshit. I don't think that you can really use music for that purpose. Music is not true. Music happens, and it happens. Yeah, it doesn't need to have a name or a purpose. It happens. You are the purpose for the music. You are the tool for music to happen. So, of course, the emotion you feel will end up in the album. So you need to work on your emotion before starting doing the music. So when we did this album, actually, it might sound weird, but we were all in a far better place mentally than last time. And I think you can kind of get it, because if you feel, I mean, not amazing, but if you feel okay with you can explore better even the deepest parts of human personality. So you can be more angry when you do music. You can explore the violence and the darkness in a better way. But if you're not 100% good with yourself, or I mean, if you're not in a good place mentally, you kind of, you can't move as much as you would. In this album, we were in a very good place mentally, so we could do as depressing as possible because we were happy. Let me say happy in a way.
I mean, that's fascinating you say that, because I mentioned about The Eye being a very dense album and claustrophobic in a sense, and it makes sense what you're saying. You guys were, or you or whoever, were not in a good place, and then this album you were, because when you put them side by side, it now makes sense, because this one really comes out the traps at 100 miles an hour, and it's like you're relieved that you can put this out there.
Yeah. And also, there's something else. If you look in the title of last album, we had the eye. So if you got an eye, that means the subject. So there's a specific perspective on reality, and that perspective kind of limits the way you can move, because you got that single perspective. In this album, we don't have any subject. We don't have anyone moaning. We don't have any singular perspective on reality. So we can explore reality any way we want, because we had no limits, no bounds to follow or to be restricted from. And that is what probably made the difference in terms of songwriting, lyrics. Yeah.
Okay, then. So let me put you on the spot now. How happy are you with this album? I mean, you're going to say you're happy. Of course you are, because it's the latest album. But like, really put yourself in sort of, if you weren't in the band, but you heard The Eye, and you're now hearing this album for the first time, like, how happy is it?
You're talking me as
Yeah.
me or the bands?
But both.
Both. Well, we were both extremely excited for this album because it came out better than we ever expected. Because when we entered the studio, we had a blurry idea of what we wanted to create, but then you start the recording, and then music takes its own path, and you just watch it happens basically. And the way it happened, it was satisfying. Let's say, we're very very excited. We're very happy. We couldn't. I think right now is the best version of ourselves we ever been. And we also had this thing, we always try to push ourselves to the limits. So every time we write music, we try to do a step further. We never stay on the same comfort zone as before. And I think that this album, all of us managed to take a big step ahead, and take everything in a harder way. And we got into new territories that we never explored before. Even we got even more confidence about, for example, the use of trumpets and stuff that you don't usually see in black metal. And also, it could be easy to, again, being cheesy, because it's always risky to put unusual instruments into something that has quite specific rules. So you can end up being something good or being something awful and terrible and pretentious. So I think that as a band right now, we also have the confidence that tell us, yeah, we can do it. We can put a trumpet on a black metal song and fuck people what they think, but we think it's good.
And that's such a great attitude to have as well, because like I was going back to my original point of black metal fans being very much, it's a 4-piece band, tremolo, blast beats, nothing else.
Yeah.
But music is progressing so much these days within each genre. Like, you know, take Imperial Triumphant, for example, just absolute left field in terms of that. And to put, like you said, trumpets on an album, on your second album, which, you know, is a bold move. But I think it works brilliantly. And I likened it to White Ward, you know, the band from Ukraine. Those,
I heard about them. I think
yeah.
I think I heard about them. Yeah.
So like that, I mean, I'm all for having weird and wonderful stuff on music, and it works perfectly on the album. So, you know, kudos to yourselves for having the, I don't know, balls
Yeah,
or
sometimes you have to be bold sometimes. In music, I think sometimes you need to try stuff out. Otherwise, you end up doing the same thing for years and people get bored of it. So it's good to be bold sometimes. You have to be bold sometimes, but at the same time, you need to know when is the right moment to do it and how to do it. Otherwise, you end up being like just a dickhead trying to piss people off, and which is fine in a way, but I guess you could do something more than that.
But you're absolutely right. Like, you could have just gone on every track and put trumpets on every track and just been like, this works on one track, let's do it for all of them. But you've used it in a way that out of context probably is the easiest way to explain, you know, the way the rest of the album flows. But it's a nice break in the pace to be able to do that. Once the album, and I want you to be honest now, right? Once the album was mixed, mastered, and you had the final copy, and I assume the whole band sat down and had a listening party in someone's flat or whatever. Was there any parts of you or any of the band who went, we should have maybe changed that here or there? Or were you 100% happy with the final product?
No, as far as I'm aware, we were all super happy about the sound. We were almost too happy, almost surprised how good it sounded. So we probably didn't have enough, we were lucid enough to understand, to have a clear perspective of it, because we were all so happy about it. We couldn't believe what we were listening to. So yeah, but then again, if you ask the same question in 6 months' time, I might change my answer, because our bands, it's got this thing that always write stuff, we're always writing new things. So new material becomes old in like in 3 weeks. And that with the fact that we always try to push ourselves forward. So next music that we're gonna write in a couple of months, hopefully it will sound even better. Yeah, I mean, the writing process is like it goes straight away. So if you ask me the same question in a couple of months, or let's say 5 months, let's be fair. In 5 months, I might tell you, maybe that part, or it should have been better. Oh, maybe that. But right now, at this very moment, we couldn't. I couldn't tell you about any parts that we're not happy with or should have been better. Right now, we're happy about it, 100%.
As well, you should be as well. I mean, you'll play these songs live, and then maybe after a while you'll be like, that bit.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And the lyrics are in Italian.
Yeah.
Any particular reason for that? Because you're based in London. Excuse me, you're playing a lot of shows around the UK, and a lot of bands, even when they're from Europe, like Germany, etc., sing in English. Is there any particular reason why you decided to have it in Italian?
Well, it started by it was a random thing. When we did the second EP, Askesis, there was one song in Italian, and after recording that song, we sort of realized that the flow was better in a way. It sounded better. I can't tell you what was that was better, but there was something that probably felt more natural about it. And also I think that as a singer, even though when you sing and scream, no one understands what you say. So I could just say anything and people wouldn't really understand anyway. But as a singer, not having to stress about pronunciation and any that kind of Oxford English stuff that sometimes it can get in your head. So maybe thinking about the way you pronounce the word, and then maybe you lose other aspects of it. That would probably help me in focusing more in delivering the lyrics. So, but anyway, it sounded better. And when we did that after, we said, you know what, it just probably that's the way it is. Also, and that's what Tim, our guitarist, said. Um, in metal, especially in black metal, there's so many recurrent words and themes that in English it can be a bit overdone. You got death, got skull,
Sure.
blood, demon, Satan. So it can be sometimes, again, it can be not cheesy, but it's over the same thing. Because I mean, we're not in the 90s anymore, so we should evolve lyrically as well. And if you keep on talking about Satan and the blood and the sacrifice, so it was good in to explore other languages, to explore other words, other sounds. So that will probably add more, make the band more unique in a way. Because now we got this still we are the band that sings in Italian, and in black metal is not that common. There was a few bands in Italy that sang in black metal band that sang in Italian, but there was like quite unique things to do. So we thought, yeah, it sounds good. It gave us good. He had a layer of personality to the band. So let's go with it, and everyone was cool with it. So yeah,
wicked. And obviously being on Prosthetic, very good label, releasing some tremendous bands at the moment, like very strong. Like being amongst that roster must be quite humbling.
Yeah, when we found out that they wanted to produce us, we were like, what the hell? Like, I mean, the same band that produced Napalm Death, no, sorry, Lamb of God and Gojira. It was like, oh, this is a dream come true. And then also the guys are amazing. They've been so helpful and they support us. They back you up on every single thing you do. You feel part of a family. Like you don't feel like you're just left out with your album and do what you want to do. They support you. They're always in touch, always open to ideas, ready to help. So it's incredible. And to think about that, I mean, these guys are so easygoing. At the same time, they had those bands in the booster is like, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Like Will sends me so many promos across, and it's just like he's like, I think you'll like this one. I think you'll like this one. It's just like he's very rarely wrong that he puts an album across my path. It's like, yeah, this is really good. So the album itself, then, what's your favorite song?
I would go for Ursoneni, which is the third single, the trumpet one. Yeah, that's how we call it right now. So yeah, because it's the one that is the boldest one again, because we put the trumpet, also because it's got this large open part, melancholic as well. Because another thing in this album we learn how to gauge and to manage the intensity with the calming part. And I think in that song specifically, we did it quite well. It's got a good flow between the very blast beat, heavy, super fast part, and the parts in which everything comes down and melancholy can be, the main emotion. So I would go for that one.
And then you're heading out on tour late summer, early. September-ish.
Oh yeah, we got a few dates at the end of July. Again, the main problem with not having more dates was that the album is gonna go out. It's coming out mid-July, so to be booked by festival, that's too late because festival, if they wanna book you, they need to have the album ready and they need to see how well it's doing. With album being out after July, they won't be able to make any judgment on that. So they will have to judge about on the previous album, which came out in the middle of pandemic and no one gave a shit. So that's why we didn't get many live. But we're planning on doing a tour in October for sure, and then next year is gonna be the one on the road.
I see you're doing Sheffield date with Mastiff in support.
Yeah, must play with Bernard as well.
Burner.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Like Mastiff released their album. Is it "Give Me the Ashes of the Earth" or something like that? Not a couple of years ago, and I spoke to Jim, the lead singer. He's such a nice guy. He's so genuine. Like,
no, he's a nice dude. Yeah, he's massive.
yeah,
It can be intimidating, but then talk to him, he's like super funny and kind. Those guys in Massive are just lovely. We actually went on tour with them last year, I guess, or 2 years ago. Can't remember. But yeah, very funny guys and amazing human beings and fucking good musicians.
yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
They make very heavy music, very heavy. So you're going to do a few dates this year, and then next year, is it going to be like a full European tour?
Hopefully. I mean, the thing is, me and Tim, we teach, so we don't have like, our availability for day off from work is not like amazing. Right. So we need to carefully assess where we can tour or not. But usually we always go on tour in April. We got a couple of weeks in April, then we got a week in May, and then you got all summer. So definitely, hopefully we're gonna have more festival next year, and then probably like solid tours, Europe, hopefully.
What sort of festivals would you be looking to play?
Well, Arctangent I think would be a good fit for us because we are weird, so we're not like a proper black metal band, and I think we will sit well with the bills. But yeah, I mean, right now any festival is good.
I mean, I'm just thinking like Arctangent's a really good shout. But I'm thinking like Bloodstock's also a good festival for giving not new blood, but do you know what I mean? Like bands the opportunity to get on bills like that. So that'd be another good one to be on.
To be honest, we played Incineration last year.
Oh, cool.
And I wasn't expecting anything, to be honest, because we were like first on the day. We played like at 2 in the afternoon or something like that, and I thought, like, no one's gonna give a shit, someone's gonna come, because the bill was proper old school black metal. Every band was proper old school black metal. We were on at 2 in the afternoon, and I thought no one would be there. And in the end, it was quite full actually. It was at the lecture ballroom, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was practically full. And I was like, okay, so we can play in a black metal festival and actually not being called out as sellouts, or I don't know. It's possible. So
I mean, like there's such I've mentioned this numerous times in this podcast, but there's such a cool scene in the UK at the moment with UK bands coming through. It's insane. Like Pupil Slicer released an album there not long ago. Erna releasing one in August. You then have Wallowing, who released an album, which it's great to see. And like Arctangent's another great festival where, there could be a band you've never heard of playing at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the tent would be like almost full because people are there purposely for the music. So like you're in a great space. This album is only gonna you know, catapult you to greater things. Like it's wicked. Like I've listened to it.
Thanks.
You know, what into double figures at the moment. So it's brilliant. And like I just want to say thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Taking
Thank you.
time out, and I wish you all the best success on this album tour, the release in 2 weeks' time. And listen, hopefully we'll catch you at a festival or a gig at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll have out and hang a beer.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Have a good night.